So for today's video, we're playing a different deck. This time we are playing some Mysteria Rune. This deck is extremely cheap with running 0 legendaries, and despite how cheap it is, it can definitely still perform on ladder if you're just trying to climb. So if you want a cheap deck to climb with or just get your daily wins or whatever with, this is a deck to consider, I think. There is one problem though with this deck, and that is that its game plan is very obvious and televised, so you can always tell when you're gonna lose to this deck when you're playing against it, which is normally not that bad of a issue, but when you're trying to record videos, people just concede on you because they know they've already lost, which is a bit unfortunate. So hopefully you can forgive me for the games being slightly lower quality this time, because my opponents just like concede when they know they've lost. So yeah, let's look at the deck list first. So this is the deck list we're running for today. It's a pretty easily to understand deck, I think. The main point is there is Ann's Dispel and Sorcery, which deals X damage to the enemy, including face. You can just target your opponent's face with this, and then the X is equal to the number of other Mysteria cards you've played this match. So the main goal is just to use this to blow your opponent up. Along the way, you can also overwhelm your opponent's board with Anne and Miss Miranda, who both get this counter whenever you play a Mysteria card, so you can vomit out a massive board that your opponent just can't answer. And then you can chip damage from there, and then try to finish it off with End Sorcery if you don't manage to just push them on board, which you can just win like based on board with this deck, so that's worth noting. And then other than that, we run the minimum of Mysteria followers. Greya is just good value for having a evolve effect here to get you either Greya's Ember or Greya's Inferno, and then Owen is just your Mysteria Search. And then these are the only followers you run, so things like Chain of Calling can also guarantee draw you your Mysteria cards. Other than that, it's just standard spell boost survival stuff, and then we have run Fall from Grace. I run one copy here just because I ran into way too much Lishana Portal. I don't think it's really worth running, but if you really hate Lishana Portal for some reason, you can run it as well. This deck can't really win against Lishana Portal otherwise, so that's why I'm running it. But that's it for the deck. Let's look at some games now. The first game here is going to be against Dragon. Compared to the other matchups like Blood and Portal, this one is more winnable, so we are generally happy to see Dragon, I guess. Even though it is definitely a very strong deck, so we gotta watch out for that. The first thing we need to talk about is the mulligan, I guess. For the mulligan, we look for Owen and Miss Miranda and Chain of Calling. These 4 cards will help you get your win condition. Mainly in the early game, you just want to be discounting Miss Miranda and Anne, so keeping them in the mulligan makes sense. Owen will draw them guaranteed, and Chain of Calling will either draw one of these or like Owen, which are all great cards to pick up. That's what we're gonna do. My opponent does drop the Serpent Drake here. We can't clear that right now, but we do have Nova Flare, so that's fine. Even though they will be able to clone their Serpent Drake here, we can just clear it with Nova Flare next turn. I do misplay here though, because I forget that Phylene has 3 defense, so I hit face instead of trading into the Phylene before playing my Nova Flare. Misplay there, but I mean, it's not too big of a deal, I guess. We're taking 1 damage chip. Obviously it'd be better off if we didn't take the chip, but I don't think it's the biggest deal ever. So then we'll draw another Phylene here. Just fine. And we pick up Chain of Calling here. We try to draw an answer. It's a bit risky to play Chain of Calling there though, because you'll notice that if I whiffed on the Chain of Calling, I didn't actually have a way to play the Ayla. But you know, we have two Miss Mirandas and 2 Ants in hand, so the chance of drawing Greya here is actually quite high. My opponent's Servant of Disdain, and they will enhance the Galamute as well. I guess they used to just draw with their Servant of Disdain. Thankfully, this wastes a Galamute without us having to take the 3 damage ping from her effect, so that's good for us. We definitely don't want to let them get that effect off now, so we're gonna go ahead and play our spells and then use Miss Miranda to trade in the Galamute so that we don't have to take the 3 damage ping here. This deck generally has 2 good evolve targets. You have Greya and Miss Miranda. Greya is great for early game answering the board, while Miss Miranda is great later on. We can pick up Mysterian Right. You can either answer the board while setting out a ward of your own, or you can just use it to ping face, because and sorcery rarely actually reaches like 20 damage, so you do need to chip some damage elsewhere if you want to finish the game. And Mysterian Rite is one of the ways you can do that. Just then though, we do have to spend our resources clearing Azi the Haka here. We'd probably save Fiery Embrace for something more difficult to clear later on, so that's that. My opponent will go ahead and use Galamu here. We take some damage, but now my opponent only has one Galamu left. And their main damage from hand they have is Galamu and Azi the Haka, which we can stop with wards anyway, so we're not too threatened here even though we are quite low. So go ahead and take this time to answer my opponent's bank with a board of our own. Very sturdy board here. Have the Mysterian Rite to chip damage as well. We can go and play End Summoning here just to start a ward so my opponent will have trouble clearing it. And then the Mysterian Rite will also play another ward. So you can see we counter our opponent with a sturdy board now that they're out of evil points and they've already spent 2 Galamus. We expect our opponent should have quite a bit of trouble clearing this board, which is why we burst them with a big board now. And then assuming as some of our followers survive, next time we can just use End Mysterian Circle and End Summoning to survive while we pick up End Sorcery and just poke them in the face for a nice, like, I don't know, like 16 damage next turn to finish them off. Which is the goal, of course, and that's assuming they can clear this board, which they probably can't, so as you can see here, if we just pass here, my opponent will end up conceding because they know they can't answer this board. So that's it for this game. Let's move on to the next one. So our next match here is against Blood and we're going first. Blood is generally a bad matchup because Darkfeast bat will murder you way before you ever get to play End Sorcery. But if you can push them early game on board, you can still win. So going first is a great first step for that. Picking up an early End and Owen is definitely great as well because we can look towards building an early board here. We just keep the Mysterian Knowledge here because we have Owen, so we're guaranteed one more Mysterian follower, so it's probably better to just keep the Mysterian Knowledge to discount whatever we draw in case it's another End or Miss Miranda. You can see it pays off here. We pick out another Owen as well, which is great, but this turn we go for Magic Missile instead. Playing Owen guarantees a Mysterian follower to be drawn, which makes it harder for Magic Missile to draw a Mysterian follower later on. So playing Magic Missile first is better because there's a higher chance of picking up Mysterian follower of Magic Missile. Then we can play Owen later on for another one. Here I do misplay though. I get a bit greedy here and hold the Mysterian Knowledge. Definitely should have just played it here. Next time we are on 4 PP, we have a 2 play point play in hand already. This spell that we get off Mysterian Knowledge is also going to cost 2 play points, so I think it's definitely a better idea to open this now while we have 1 play point floating here. Actually, you will see in a moment here my opponent goes for Servant of Last here into triple Gift of Bloodkin, which invokes their Flower Rose as well. And opening Mysterian Knowledge here will definitely give me better information because now it's a bit hard to figure out what to do here. If we pick out Chain of Calling here as well, we could have gone Chain of Calling Owen or Chain of Calling plus whatever we draw off, get off this Mysterian Knowledge last turn if we opened this last turn, but got a bit greedy there, so unfortunately this turn is a bit more awkward. We'll go ahead and open this hoping for the Missile, but we don't get the Missile, so let's go ahead and drop the Owen here for a bit of board presence, and then we just trade into the Flowers here because we do not want to be taking 7 damage phase. And we get rid of one of these bats as well. Opponent drops the Alexandrite Demon here and they will draw a bunch of cards, which is very unfortunate for me. And we take a bunch of damage as well, which is not great. We're definitely not in great shape if we're trying to survive until End Sorcery here. Fortunately though, we did open with quite a few Mysteria cards, so our Mysterian followers in our hand here are quite discounted already. We have that to look forward to. Here we go ahead and just answer their board. We use Magic Missile here because it's more PP efficient and Greyas Ember has more damage, so it's better to save Greyas Ember for a more sturdy follower like this Vera here. Sorry, what's her name? Vera. And we'll go ahead and draw into that deck here. Vera is very annoying because she takes 2 less damage, so UNC is very hard to clear here. Go ahead and play our spell here. And then drop the Miss Miranda as well. Pick up Mysterian Missile thankfully, which is very lucky because this means that we can clear Vera without trading. And then here we just try to overwhelm our opponent with another Miss Miranda. Here is an interesting position because the question is whether we want to play N here. I'm not sure it's that. I spoilers here. I chose not to play the N because if they had that card that just AoEs my board, then I spend all my followers and then suddenly I'm a bit on the back foot here. So I don't want to overcommit to board. But you'll see in a moment that that was in this case a misplay. Whether it's a misplay in general, I can't say, but in this specific position it was a misplay because and see they left our Owen and Miss Miranda on board. If we had an N on board as well, we had 10 damage on board plus Mysterian, right? That would have been lethal. So yeah, might have been a misplay maybe, but I think I would have made the same play anyway because I think this one's safer against their AoE blowout. But yeah, because of that we end up missing lethal here, so a bit unfortunate, but oh well. Go ahead and use Mysterian right here. Probably should have used Mysterian. I mean, it doesn't really matter because we're using our spells on their followers. Just go ahead and punch them in the face and put them down to 6, which I believe my opponent fails to clear my board here and they concede again because that's just how it goes with this deck. So that's Alexandrite Demon. Blazing Sapphire to draw into their deck. They do evolve oh, they don't fail to clear my board quite yet. So they go ahead and evolve their Valnerate here. So I guess they still have hope because we have 1 damage off, but we do have Truth Adjudication here, so it ends up finishing them off here, but I mean, we just need that 1 damage here. So that's it for this game. Let's move on to the next one. Now last game here is against Shadow. We're going first again. There's a lot of going first games because this deck does a lot better going first. I didn't realize I only picked out going first games, but it's definitely possible to win going second as well, as long as it's not the mirror. If it's the mirror, you just lose automatically unless your opponent breaks. Yeah, against Shadow, another more playable matchup. We do have quite a bit of wards to block their ghosts, so we have that going for us. Their board clear is also a bit limited, although we do have cards like Friend which are quite strong for board clear, but we go super wide, they should have a problem clearing the board. So once again, for our early game, we're just looking to get through our Mysterian cards here. I drop an early Greya because I don't want to take too much damage in the early game because they have a lot of storm damage in the late game, so preserving my health is probably better here in the format with very little healing actually available. We can play our Insight here and then Mysterian Knowledge just to discount our cards as well as pick up the spell. Just focus on clearing that board here and let's not get too greedy. Someone drops the Pure Hearted Singer here and they will save their evil point. Just don't want to spend it on just clearing Greya and on a pretty weak evil here with the Pure Hearted Singer. Let's us take it a bit easy here though, so we do go ahead and use it as a draw turn and evolve Greya. We can definitely look to burst out a big board next turn, which is I think mainly the goal. We poke them in the face with Greya here for a nice 4 damage. To help contribute towards our finish later on. Opponent will go ahead and evolve the Lady in Grey here, which is good value for them because I guess they get an evo as well as some healing, which is good for them. And keep our Owen here. Go ahead and use the Mysterian Missile to clear the Lady in Grey. Fate's Hand to draw first before I play Miss Miranda. Unfortunately, we don't get the missile here. I was hoping for the missile, but I guess it's fine in the grand scheme of things. We're gonna use our Mysterian right as well. Straight into their board. And then we just drop an N here. In this case, they don't have like big blowout cards like the AoE's cards, so we can just go ahead and go for a full board here and just try to overwhelm them that way. And then we'll drop Big Soul Hunter, which will clear the Miss Miranda, which is fine. Another Lady of Grey will help them set up a bit of a board on their own while healing them up to full, which is slightly unfortunate for me. Go ahead and use Chain of Calling here to pick up an N. And then here we just focus our spells on clearing their board. It's better to leave our followers healthy because that will cause more problems for my opponent. Go ahead and trade here as well just to make sure they don't have much to work with, especially if this is an Arca's turn, which it ends up being an Arca's turn. I think a board set up like on the Arca's turn is great because it punishes them quite heavily. Opponent will evolve their Arcas here and trade. It's fine, we don't really care that much. We just want to clear it, so we go ahead and trade Miss Miranda here to clear with Mysterious Missile. Then we can just drop a bunch of Greyas here to protect our ends, or we poke them in the face. Opponent drops Mischievous Spirit here, which will go ahead and turn into a ghost. Just fine, I guess, and then Pure Hearted Singer as well to draw into their deck. This is how my opponent is actually clearing my board because Arcus is oh, that's what Arcus does, I guess. Another Mysterious Spirit for my opponent. I can go ahead and clear my Greya. And then they draw another Pure Hearted Singer. It's a bit unlucky on my opponent's side. If they had Friend, they can actually full clear this board. Not that it would have mattered, but if they had Friend, they could have at least full cleared because one Ghost survives, so they could use Friend spell to pop my end. In this case, my end does survive here, so yeah. We just go ahead and set up wards as well as get our Mysteria count up. We can drop end here with 2 summonings. This will protect our face from any damage as well as protect our ends. We do have end sorcery here and it's 18 damage, so quite a high roll this game. And my opponent's very kind this time, so they don't concede. They just, I guess, play a bunch of cards here. And since we're here, this is a Mysteria video, we go ahead and play end sorcery here for the finish. So that's it for this game. So those are all the games I have for you today. Hopefully it gave you some idea of how this deck worked. I think I'm like definitely by no means an expert on this deck. My brain is too small to play anything more complicated than sword, hit face. So yeah, but I mean if you're looking to try this deck, hopefully this is a good starting point. You can do your own experimentation to figure out more in depth how you should play this deck. Honestly, I don't want to play too many games of Rune right now because my Rune level is already maxed, so I kind of want to spend my time on classes that I haven't maxed out yet. Yeah, but yeah, it's a very cheap budget that you can play if you're just trying to climb for cheap. Definitely good enough to climb, although just don't expect to climb super fast or anything because I mean it's like not a top tier deck. It's like slightly below top tier. So yeah, that's it for today. See you next time. Bye bye.